Democrat, Republican, talk about a lose-lose situation this election. Libertarians have some amazing alternatives, but I'm not fully on board with their philosophy. Here are 3 scenarios where I can't find a libertarian solution to a common everyday issue. Scenario 1. Basic infrastructure. In a neighborhood with 8 houses on the street, what happens when one person decides they don't want to pay for the upkeep of the road? Do they still get to use the road? If not, is there a regulatory force like the police who will monitor the roads and prevent them from using the road? If they are allowed to use the road, what happens if 2 people or 3 people or 7 people decide that they don't want to pay for the road? Now extrapolate this neighborhood to the city of Denver and its population of approximately 682,000 people. Or better yet, the Denver metro area, which has a population of 2.7 million people. Who decides which roads are built, which roads receive upkeep, and which roads others can or cannot drive on? And if somebody from Arvada causes damage to the roads in Aurora, how can you hold the guilty party accountable? And who will pay for the damages? Finally, let's extrapolate this to the nation. Who's responsible for the road from Denver to Salt Lake City? From Denver to Seattle? Scenario 2. Protection of personal rights. While you and your family are away on vacation, your neighborhood decides to bulldoze your house to the ground and replace it with a swimming pool. Who will protect your private property and your right to own it? The privately funded police department that your neighborhood has hired to protect and serve it? Of course not. That private police force is going to protect those who pay them. And as you no longer have a house in the neighborhood, that doesn't include you anymore. And since you can't afford to buy your own police protection against an entire neighborhood, the question becomes, who will protect you and your personal property rights? Scenario 3. The environment. Here we have Factory A. What is to stop this peaceful little factory from dumping a few thousand gallons of toxic sludge in the nearby lake and let the river naturally dispose of the waste for them? When the toxic sludge starts to flow downriver and pollutes all the potable water that farmers and ranchers rely on for their livelihood and millions of people rely on for their day-to-day lives, who is responsible for cleaning the sludge up? The farmers whose crops are killed? The rancher whose livestock is killed? Or the family members of the innocent victims who were killed by the polluted water? Here we have the Mississippi drainage basin. Every drop of water that falls in this area eventually winds up down here in the Gulf of Mexico. Now I know what you're thinking. Fuck it, it's Mexico's problem now, right? Well, no. This is the Gulf Stream. It is responsible for bringing warm water from the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean up to the North Atlantic. This is the reason why the UK and Northern Europe are warm enough to be inhabitable. And while the temperature may or may not change, the pollution in the water will now be disseminated into the world's oceans. Now let's extrapolate this to the world stage. There are other ocean currents, like this one, which flows directly from China to North America. So without enforcing environmental protection laws and foreign trade laws, how do we prevent the world from becoming one massive sewer? Now personally, I love and embrace many libertarian philosophies, but I can't find any libertarian solutions to these problems. So I put these questions out there to you libertarians. Can you find an answer where I could not? Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but most importantly, have a great night.